Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. This time around we are going to do a Terra delivery once again. I don't know if I've ever done a double Terra delivery on video. I've done a few, just doing testing when the factory came out and also just off-screen experimenting a lot with it. And I actually came to the conclusion that while it's not necessarily quicker, instead of using the main road up through OG and then going around here to the quarry, it's actually a lot easier to take the other road and follow the coastline. It's a bit of a detour, but there are at least two major climbs over here. One from down here to up until this point, another one from around over here up until right here. These can be avoided by going onto the coastal road, and in the end you arrive at Bayang at around the same time, but without that much of a hassle. So the question now is, how is the new coastal road? We are going around the west side here this time around, and the good thing is that we can also through this avoid the northern coastal road, because overall, while this has been a long, tedious climb up to one of the plateaus over here, the real tough one is somewhere around here, and we can completely bypass it by taking the other road. So let's get our gear out and then let's see what we can do right here and how well this is going to go. I was also considering doing this with the new rollback truck, but let me tell you, if you want an easy job, roll back, putting one Terra on it and going there, it's a breeze. Like, there's absolutely no challenge, it's just gonna go. Not a problem at all, and therefore maybe a bit too boring. Maybe at some point I'll try out triple Terra delivery, one on the rollback and then also have the rollback haul the Lomax. I don't know if it's even going to work, if putting the Lomax on the underlift and then two Terras on it, if that won't be tipping up the rollback like a teeter-totter, but yeah, that's for another day. I have been waiting to try this out with this constellation, my heavy-duty Golema, and the heavily tuned Lomax trailer. Taking two of these and then bringing them over. I'm not going to try and get a third one right now. That would be another video maybe, but I'm not entirely sure. First up, I would have to get enough of these mining trucks produced in order to even do the job to begin with. But yeah, let's prepare, then let's get two of them onto this thing and go from there. So putting all of that down. That seems alright. Let's get the first one and put it on here, and the second should spawn in momentarily. Always frighteningly close to the one that I just took out of there. But yeah, let's try and line this up. Easier said than done. Okay, let's roll back down and try again. Much better, but we still have to make it onto the neck of the trailer in order to have enough space for the second one. Maybe something like here. We definitely have enough space between the front board and the bottom of the truck here. Should be alright, I don't want to damage them. I mean, I don't necessarily need much more money at this point, but still trying to perform the job well. Just for bragging rights. Yeah, I was under the impression that I only got 2 trucks produced here, but apparently there is a third. So that might already be paying it forward to the next time I try a delivery from here. I certainly don't see myself buying any more of these trucks because they are kinda a bit useless in this game. Okay, I think this should be okay. Still need to get the ramp up. Maybe a bit further down. Okay, I think we are ready to go here. I don't know if I've ever really shown you guys the heavy duty trail and all of that. I mean, if I have, it was definitely a while ago. But yeah, we got additional brake lights backed into the ramp and marker lights, all that stuff. What can I say? I just love the whole system here. Attachment lights are such a special thing for this game, and it's so amazing how you can use them not only to spice up your cars a bit, adding third brake lights and all of that, but also for a variety of trucks, not only for decoration but also functional stuff. I mean, all the markers and everything here, that's definitely just for looks, but for things like the rollback, you can have reverse facing lights to light up the area behind you. You can add stuff like that for tow trucks as well, and it's really helping out quite a bit. Like on one of my off-road buses, I have light fixtures to light up the area around it a bit more, and it really helps at night when you go through the jungle. And especially with us getting more light fixtures and all that kind of stuff, it's really giving a lot of options now. Like the system was good before when it was only the underglow, 3 different roundish lights and then the light bars, but with all the additional stuff right now, it's just getting exponentially better with the options that we are getting. Things that I would like to see from this point on, by the way. First up, a version of the LED underglow bar that's basically just one thing instead of light dots, just having one that goes from one end of a fixture to the other. And also non-light attachments. Maybe not even something like a big bull bar or so. That would be kind of specific and should maybe be just an upgrade option for some of the vehicles. Because if you can put a bull bar on anything anywhere, that might be abusable in weird ways. But also stuff like maybe generic pipes or something to build your own roll cage. You don't really need too much of it, but you can do a lot with a few simple parts here, I think. Also, ideally, maybe the entire placement system could get a decimal point. There are plenty of times where you kinda need to go in between what you can right now, and the system is so good, but also from position and some angles especially, you kinda need something that's a bit more fine adjustable. Okay, running into our first little uphill climb right here. Might as well turn on the warning lights. Because, yeah, we are calling. And compared to the racing events that I just did here recently, this is really a different kind of pace. I might want to try and let the guy behind me pass. I hope this isn't going to end up with him sketching up my precious deliveries over here. I mean, you know what? We are going decently fast right now again, so... Dude had his chance, didn't take it, therefore it's just gonna be stuck behind me. But yeah, I hope that you guys like the way these videos look with the nighttime stuff. I love showing up or showing off my light attachments and all of that, so I kind of like when it's dark for a bit in the video. I just hope it won't be too dark for too long. I think I got my moonlight settings at 70% now, so it's more like moody than anything else. Really hard to see what's going on, but I think it should be alright. I'm not really seeing too much either, but I'm having fun with how it is right now. Okay. But yeah, it's slowly getting bright there anyways, and I mean, having a dark night as a contrast really brings out the beauty of a sunrise, I think. Okay. Slowly getting brighter, getting also to see all the additional foliage that's around the desert now. This used to be pretty much blank up until, I don't know, the last update, the one before it? I'm not entirely sure, but I don't remember it being, yeah, this quote-unquote vibrant up until recently. And I didn't change anything about my settings any time recently either. I mean, there were a few updates where performance tanked so much I tuned down my settings quite a bit, but as it is right now, the settings have been that way for a few months now. Okay, finally able to let past some of the other cars. Trying to not go off too far. Don't wanna get stuck in the sand. If I end up having to reset my truck, I know the mining tasks are going to come with it, so don't want to have to load up everything again. At least there's a big bus approaching. But yeah, this is definitely one of the slower jobs with how heavy everything is. 21 kilometers in road distance, but compared to the other jobs, it should be not necessarily too straightforward, but at least nothing too crazy either. I mean, the roads are definitely squiggly and we are really not going towards our destination right now, because we are about to make a hard turn left and go to the southwest corner of the map before finally heading up north. And even then we are going more towards the north while needing to go to the northeast, and that's only going to happen later down the line. And yeah, none of the roads are really a straight line anyways, so there is a lot of detouring. I mean, 8.5 kilometers over there, 20.4 on the yeah, on the map there, so bit of a difference. But in the end, the important part here is that we avoid a lot of the steep climbing. There are quite a few ups and downs with the new road, and even just going through the desert here is not really giving me trouble, but really slowing me down here and there. But we should be okay. I don't foresee any issues with the new road ever being steeper than what we have been going through with the other delivery routes up until this point. So it should be alright. It should be fine. But yeah, we are now almost going away from our destination here. Put a few more 100 meters of distance between us and that point. It's gonna be okay. I don't get why the traffic is even so slow here to begin with. I mean, even at my fastest, they should be running away from me here. Try to let the bus pass. But yeah, we should be coming around to the refinery soon. I don't know if there's another few turns left before we even get to that, but yeah, that's the first, not even stop on our way, that's just a location. I'm a bit worried about the fuel because I know we are going to burn through quite a lot of it with how all of this goes. I'm basically full throttling all the time despite not really going that quickly. Oh yeah, we are already really close to the refinery, so that's good. But yeah, the Golima right now I think has the second largest fuel tank of all the semis. The Longhorn I think might be a bit more. But yeah, we'll have to see how far we can make it. I still would like to see one gas station along the way, maybe at Dasa, maybe somewhere up in the mountains, not entirely sure, but as it is right now, I think the stretch of road where you don't have any refueling options outside of roadsiding or taking jerry cans is a bit too long. Really remains to be seen what the devs think about that. But yeah, I made that as a suggestion. It just really remains to be seen what comes of it, if anything. I'm also curious what the next update might bring. They had the whole idea for a mailman job with the last update and then switched over to firefighting because with the mailman they wanted to do something interesting and different with it and they just didn't have an idea on what to do. But from what I've seen, that's been pushed back a bit further, so they could still put it back onto the to-do list for the next update, but I think they are going to do something else instead. Might need some more time figuring that out. I've also had an interesting conversation with some other people about overhauling contracts. I mean, from two perspectives. First up, the supply contracts are kinda bad as they are. Really inconsistent between a lot of different goods. There are also some things that are almost impossible to fulfill. And there are also things that really pay well, some of them don't. And also, overall, it's kind of weird how it doesn't really care where you get the supplies from. So you can, with fuel, make an additional 50k by hauling it across the entirety of OG and then getting it onto Jijo Island. Or you could just go from Jijo Harbor and get the stuff to the location within 5 minutes or something. And you're still getting the same full bonus. So yeah, I think something like that should be dealt with at some point. But I also think the contracts actually have potential to help in a different way that's actually more of a gameplay problem right now. And that is if you need some supplies and go to a place that offers cargo to a lot of destinations and despite them having the supplies, you might not be able to get them to where you want them to go. Prime example, Terra factory, just try to get a container to that place. It rarely spawns at Dasa and it's just kind of hard getting the right one. You just end up wasting a lot of times waiting for the list to refresh and hopefully give you the thing that you've been looking for. So my idea was that they should overhaul the contracts. I mean the supply contracts. So also make sure that if you go to a place that has the cargo, you get an offering that goes to the destination that you signed the contract for. And to be clear, it shouldn't really reserve the cargo. It's more like you sign the contract. For everybody else, it's still going to be the same amount of stuff in that place to the same locations. But when you go there, you will find that there is one cargo offer with that cargo going to the place where you need to take it. If somebody else ends up emptying it out before you get there, then you either need to go to another place or you would need to do a resupply of that location, whatever. But yeah, just to make it more consistent, finding the right cargo to the right location. But yeah, that's not a perfect system. That would also have its own flaws here and there, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's I think it would help. Problem is, since you get the supply contracts from the place that you need to supply to, you would have to go to that place first, sign the contract, then go to the place where you can grab the stuff from. But I think with supply contracts, it's always been a bit cheap that you can sign them right before finishing the delivery, just to get your bonus for something that you've basically already done the job for. Like the contracts in that case, they don't really... They give you a lot of extra bonus if you get the right one, but they don't require anything extra for you to do outside of checking the menu before doing the drop-off. Oh yeah, and we are now past that, so we are getting to the final stretch of the delivery. So I think in that way it's kind of a bit weird that you sign them at the location you need to deliver to, but I think, especially if you look at stuff like containers, the amount of locations containers can go to, if you were to sign the supply contract at the place where you pick up the containers, there would be so many options and so many different volume options for the contract that you would need to completely redesign the entire menu in order for that to work out. Although I think that would be alright for the entire cargo menu anyways, because the current one isn't all that amazing. I could envision something where you get a list of the different cargo types first. Then once you picked the one you want to take, like for containers, it would be 40 or 20 foot containers. Then you get to a map, and that map shows you the different locations. Maybe each one already telling how much that delivery would be. And then at the location you can choose how many you want to pick up. And that's how you load them. It wouldn't be a universal thing. I think it would work well for stuff like factories and all of that. But warehouses where you have a lot of different cargoes that you may want to check against, like try this pallet, then try the other one. Maybe try one of the smaller cargo types at AliExpress. That's all likely not going to work out too well, and I don't know how it would work out with residential deliveries either. So, yeah. I think the solution that I just gave you guys would be working decently well for a certain set of deliveries, but certainly not everything. Also, I'll be honest with you guys, I have my thoughts on the whole topic. I think especially the whole contract thing definitely needs some changes and overhaul in order to be really viable. But even if I came up with a perfect solution here, I would maybe write that down, but I'm not going to suggest it anytime soon because right now I'm just glad that the last few updates haven't been trucking focused and I don't want to make any big trucking suggestions here. I'm glad that the devs are working on something else right now. It's been pretty good for the past few months. I should probably also explain why the current delivery menu is the way it is to begin with, because to be clear and to be fair to the dev, it can be frustrating, but there are reasons for this. And it's basically that they want to, or kind of need to keep it dynamic. I mean, you can build a depot on most of the different locations right now with how the map is expanding. You sometimes have some delivery points pop up. They might not be permanent, like temporary construction sites, things that might get changed to other stuff in the future. But yeah, just the depots alone. You need a dynamic system. And for that you need the system to refresh every now and again. And that's kind of what the whole thing is doing. And with some of the cargoes, like if you really load up your warehouses with different pallet types and all of that, you cannot have a concise list where everything is displayed at all the time. Maybe with the suggestion that I just made it could work out, but with all the different things you can stuff into a warehouse, you would still end up with an enormous cargo list under certain circumstances. So something has to give. And that's why they have the current system. So yeah, while I won't claim that the current system is amazing by any stretch of the imagination, I have enough hours in this game to know that there are some pain points. I kind of want to avoid overheating, but I was really pushing it a bit too far here. It's kind of a necessary evil in some cases. And yeah, I think while we cannot really fully know what's going on under the hood with the game, with all the stuff, a lot of things that are in the game right now that might not be working out too well in some ways, they have been likely put in like this for a reason to begin with. And usually I'm just trying to find out that reason, trying to consider it, because that I think is an important step when you try to make a good suggestion on how to improve it. But yeah, I know from the dev directly that the current system, it needs to be dynamic. It needs to be able to cycle things in and out to deal with amount of cargo in some places, which, yeah, with us now having the option to put things into warehouses and them not just spawning there anymore and other things like that, with how much cargo different places can get and how much more they will likely get, like containers. A good amount of industries take them as supplies, and the amount can increase in the future. You need to be able to handle that, and a static system might not be versatile enough for that. And to be clear, I'm just really roughly paraphrasing what the dev said. This isn't one-to-one where words. I might be missing something here. Okay, let a few people pass. I'm just going to get in front of that big bus again. There might still be a few more turns before we really go inland. And I think the stretch going from this side of thingy there, or no, is there still even something coming? This seems like the spot where we might go in, but I think that's a bit more straight. The thing is, that section I'm looking forward to because that's kind of the steepest climb there. Or among the steepest, I think. So if we can make that, we are basically over the hill. There's going to be more uphill after that, but it's not going to be that tough anymore. Oh yeah, we are not even that far in. I remember this is that section. My bad, I basically thought we were here already, but that was more wishful thinking. Got a ways more to go before we even get to that point. Yeah, we are really taking it slow today, but that's to be expected. The question in the end is, are we going to run into any major difficulties? And so far, while the roads have been slowing me down here and there, it's really not been the case that there was anything close to stopping me. As long as I don't have to even go into L gear, we are more than fine. But yeah, I think this might be one of the few trucks in my fleet that even has anything more than a 6-speed transmission. I mean, I by now have a really roughly tuned Atlas dump for iron runs. So that's definitely using either the 13 or 18 speed. I think it's a 13 speed, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah. I think those might be the only ones, because I don't like shifting up and down that often. And usually they work without more gears, so yeah. 5 or 6 speed for most of them. I mean, I don't really use 5 speed trucking anywhere. I kind of want to try it for some things. Especially stuff like the Brutus. I would have to see how the gear ratios work out, but I always felt like the 6-speed truck transmissions, the first few gears are really awkwardly short. I mean, you kind of want that for the first gear at least, because that's just going to help you with any climbs once you have decent load to pull or something. But you don't want that with everything. Like if the first gear is short and then the second and third are getting a bit longer comparatively, that would be really nice. But as it is, yeah, you go into first gear and when you upshift to second gear, you can almost skip it. It's just long enough that you don't want to skip it, because it would be going a bit too low into third gear at that point. But it's also too short for you to really want to spend time in second gear. So maybe the 5-speed transmission from the Limousis can help out there. Okay, decent amount of climbing here. But once again, we are in third speed, we are still picking up speed, so we are... or third gear, I mean, we are doing well. This isn't really anywhere close to struggling. It's just kind of what you have to expect when hauling 2 of these big boys on your trailer. I also gotta admit that I don't have too much of a mark for comparison here. I know that I took off just about 45 minutes from the Terra factory to Baiyang, no matter which route I took. So they ended up being about equal in time. But yeah, we are not going to buy young here, so that's kinda not that relevant. But yeah, I don't know how much the last leg of original journey took, so it's gonna be a bit hard to compare, but I feel like this is going to be faster. I mean, we still have a ways to go. We just managed to make it to the point where I thought we already were at. This is now the quote-unquote big climb, and you can see it's not even that much of a big deal. Like, we are going to be fine up here, I'm pretty sure. Should have upshifted a bit earlier. Like, this is the thing that really messes you up here. But yeah, just letting out a bit of coolant isn't what I really want to do here, but it's also not entirely killing me, so it should be alright. It could be worse, but I didn't like losing all that momentum. Another thing I'd like to talk about at this point is just my overall experience with the update at this point. Honestly, I ended up being a bit mixed on it here and there, especially after it surprisingly got released into testing, what felt like maybe a bit too early. And I mean, there are still things that should have been done for this update, and they seem to hopefully still be in progress, like a few things they need to fix about the models and stuff like that. I still want to see the option to change the entire color of the even, but as it is right now, just the stuff that we've gotten, it's kind of really cool. Like, especially the quality of life stuff for loading cargo, having the option to set multiple waypoints and stuff, that's really quite helpful. The vehicles are pretty nice. Firefighting might be a bit meh right now. It's honestly in too rough a shape to really do too much with, and especially not being able to upgrade the fire engine and it coming in such a bad tune. It's just, that's really pulling down the job. But yeah, a lot of the other things right now, they are really cool. I mean, this road here is amazing. Been waiting for it so long. So glad that we finally have it. And even though I'm not the biggest Lada fan overall, I mean, they are kind of cool cars, but yeah. We got other things here that are a bit more cult status in Germany, so I don't really care too much about Ladas. But yeah, that thing, it's really nice for different activities. I might actually make a video on using it as a taxi. Oh shit. Well, as I said, going into L gear is kind of where the struggling starts, and I mean, at least this isn't a long part. This is just really this little thing between the two corners, it seems like, so really not too bad. But I remember being in either L or first gear quite more often over a longer period of time on the other routes. So this one is actually, this counts as a breeze. Simple as that. But yeah, of course the rollback is amazing. Although I actually recently learned that part of the rear bumper on the real truck would actually be used as a stabilizer, or more like part of a landing gear. So actually, if you tilt down the back of the truck, the lower part of the bumper is supposed to hit the road. It's supposed to have some feet there that also should be adjustable to get them to hit the road at the right time. Because basically when you pull back the rollback bed and put a vehicle on that, there's so much weight that's not really on the truck anymore that you need that in order to really stabilize. Otherwise, potentially the front of the truck is going to go up when you pull the rollback back forward. I should also make another video on the rollback. That first one was tense in its own right, but it wasn't really a good showcase for it. Might do that at some point. I don't know. The rollback is amazing. It performs way stronger than I would have expected, and it's been a positive surprise performance-wise for a lot of people. Absolutely goated vehicle, but yeah, I don't tend to use it too much. You can do a few good jobs with it, both in terms of vehicle deliveries but also towing, since it has the drag winch on the back. But yeah, I haven't really gone out of my way to use it too much. It's been a fun vehicle in testing. So not like I neglected it, but for videos I've just been focusing on other stuff. And then of course we have the whole thing with search and rescue, which I know isn't everybody's cup of tea. It's just something that I vibe with quite a lot, and I've been trying to get the job improved for a long time, and it just now being in a good state is exactly what I wanted for it for so long. It's amazing. I think that was also one of my points where I was really miffed about the update releasing into public testing, because I've been trying to get attention on the feedback and get a few more adjustments done, and it didn't seem to happen for a long time. But then one day the dev just finally picked it up, and yeah, now we finally have it. And to be clear, I don't mean adding the upright sitting position for the patient and the flare overall. That is something that already happened in the update, and that was in closed testing, and that was pretty nice. There was another phase afterwards where the render distances were a bit weird. Like the flare was barely ever visible because the render distance of the smoke was so low, and I think initially it also didn't give off any light at night, and that all got adjusted. It was really just a fine-tuning, but without that, it still wouldn't have made anywhere near as much of an impact. But as it is right now, it's close to perfect. In an ideal world, I would still like to see the render distance of that interaction cube reduced down to maybe a meter or two from the patient, because you really only need it when you already found the patient. But I take it as it is right now. It's really good. If I could dream about my ideal state of that job, I would like to add some variation. There has been a really lively feedback post on that whole thing for a while now, with different solutions on how to make the job more balanced. And the flare was one that the dev chose, but there were a lot of other things, and I think if a scenario could be somewhat randomized, I think that would be really nice. For example, you could have another pedestrian standing right next to the injured person, and them waving, shouting, and getting your attention that way, instead of having the flare there. And then you're also having to take that person. I mean, funnily enough, from what I remember, the Terra ambulance, that has 3 seats. One is the patient stretcher, one is the passenger seat, and one is of course the driver's seat. So you can take one passenger and one patient, and that would work out with there being one non-injured person next to the patient. Oh, for fuck's sake. And in the Brutus you have a lot of additional seats. So I think you have 2 in the front and then 2 other seats in the back, and with there being 4 stretchers, that once again works out as well. And I mean two passenger seats in the front, plus the driver's seat. Another option would be having the patient shout for you, in case they don't have a flare or any accompanying person. And I don't know what else you would have. There were a few other options there, I think. I mean, infrared for the drone or something isn't really necessary anymore. But that would be a nice upgrade option. But yeah, we actually made it to the quarry within about 46 minutes. So no matter which other route we took, we would only be at Baiyang by now. So we definitely saved quite a bit of time here. Now we just have to make it in there, which is going to be a bit of a climb, but I mean, we've done that before, should be alright. But yeah, for this game, if I had the choice for the next update, I mean, it's definitely racetrack. That would be my first priority. By the way, do I have the 5th wheel back? Should be up to the front, but it feels like it's kind of far to the back. I might check that afterwards. No real reason to stop right now. But yeah, I would love a racetrack. I would love a few more regular cars, like a more modern station wagon. Not really anything American or something. It could be Asian, could be European, I don't care. Something middle class. Potentially front-wheel drive would be nice. And a sports car. Either something like a Corvette or something more high class would also be nice. I mean, Corvette like a C4 or something that's a bit more entry level, but also something highly expensive for people to burn some money on. I mean, I bought myself 5 Ladas, 4 for an event and a 5th one as a taxi. Potentially more coming in the future once I've got the need for some different engine variations here and there. Okay, we wanna go slow here. Braking is a bitch when you have so heavy cargo on your back. And I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be the first time I binned it in the quarry. So be a bit safe, better than sorry. But yeah, overall I would like to see some more racing stuff in the future. Also, updates to the upgrades would be nice. The tuning stuff is pretty cool in this game, but I think we kinda need to have a few more options. For example, for suspension options and all of that, it's just too rough. What do we get? We have like 100% spring stiffness and all of that by default. When it goes up to 120, 150, 200 free for 500. We need more steps in between. Potentially also stuff that we can actually adjust ourselves and not have to buy different options all the time. I mean, I don't mind it, but when you are still somewhat early in the game, it's kind of too expensive to try out different things. You're just kind of stuck with the things you buy, and you either like them more than the default, or you go back to the default, but you don't have the money to buy the things that are in between or maybe a bit further out than what you already got. And I also remember somebody else making a really good point about there being an issue that stiffer parts in the suspension area are that much more expensive because it kind of suggests that they are better. And that's really not the case. You often don't want 500% stiffness parts. So, yeah. Therefore, I don't think it's a good idea that they are so expensive because it just makes you think that you are getting something really good from that, but in a lot of cases, the heavy or the high stiffness stuff isn't really what you need for good handling. It's just gonna be awful in a different way. But that's kind of a problem. The system needs to suggest that there is nuance to it, and as it is right now, in most games you buy the most expensive part and you are the best off with it, and that's not the case here. Okay, here we go. Time to unload, no damage done at all, and we managed to get here within about 50 minutes, so I mean, yeah, this is definitely the way to go for this delivery now. And honestly, while I like that some of the stuff has different viable options, and this one basically is now the new only viable option, I also kind of like that you don't want to go the same way for all the deliveries. So that's 82k or something, 83, something around that. Plus town bonus. Yeah, this is really nice. And yeah, from what I know, these deliveries are not taking the road distance into account, so it's still straight line, and therefore the payment for these is still the same as it always was, because for the game, nothing really changed. I hope it's going to be adjusted at some point. They seem to be doing something in terms of trying to get payment adjustments, but I don't know if that's if the road distance consideration is currently on the docket. Seems to be like they are trying to balance the stuff with pre-damaged vehicles, which is also important. Like currently the payment for any car that has been set on fire is absolute garbage. You don't really want to tow them to the delivery point if that's too far away. Sometimes you just want to delete the server a bit and despawn it at the next parking spot. Because you're not getting any delivery bonus whatsoever, and that's not really worth it. Like, fully damaged vehicles shouldn't be the most exciting thing, but they also shouldn't be just basically punishing you for doing the job at all compared to any regular one. Oh yeah, this is far to the back. Should be far more forward. Just like that, and here we go. That should also put a bit more weight onto the driven axle and therefore, yeah, give me better handling. But so much about all of that. The video is 54 minutes, but I'm kinda itching to, yeah, you know what, I wanna see how, where is it? Not in this category for certain. I wanna see how the Longhorn would do with 3 Terras on the back. Just to see if it's even worth considering for a video. I heard others did it, but I'm picky with the stuff that I wanna do in this game. So let's pull the hook out a bit. By the way, I updated my livery a bit. Still hearing explosions from outside, but that's normal for this time of year. Even without us being in any active conflict or something. I would have really liked to spend this time of the year with my family, but this time around it just didn't work out. Hopefully next year it's much more peaceful if you're out, out of the big cities. So let's get the hook in, because we first need to load up one of the Terras. And then we're also going to put some onto the other part. I might need to do some adjustments here with my paint job, because it seems like some of the colors are bleeding over onto the cargo bed. And yeah, I tried to put on like a serrated metal thing over here. I have it on the smaller rollback, but I wasn't really... I didn't fancy finishing it off with the center part. So slightly incomplete. But I will for rollback. The thing that I said, we can actually see it in action here. Like normally the lower part of the bumper here can be extended, and that would be on the ground then and actually keep you from almost tipping over when you load something heavy. Given that, of course, this is now an extreme example, because I don't think the rollback is actually even meant for this kind of thing. But hey, damn if we don't try it anyways. Oh, Jesus. I think I'm somewhat in the middle here. That seems alright. By the way, from what I heard, if you get your custom Terra on the rollback and have any wheel spacers installed, it likely won't be allowing you to strap down either front wheel. But yeah, now to the important part. So usually the back part of the bumper, or the lower part there, would be on the ground. And that would really help with what I'm about to do here. I'm actually in the underlift menu. Because once the back of the bed is off the ground, yeah, you can see what's happening to the front there, and that's not really supposed to be happening. So that's really supposed to give more stability. And that would allow you to roll the bed forward and then put it down. Just like that. Okay, here we go. And I know if this goes well, there's a really big chance that in a not so distant future video I'm going to do the entire same thing again, but loading it up at the thingy factory instead of the quarry right here. But for a quick dry run, and I want to do this on video. Just to test this out with you guys, I thought this would be a good idea. And to be clear, if I'm doing this again with I was about to say, is the landing gear not extended because this thing was already tipping? If I'm doing this again with a full Terra delivery, I'm likely getting a second rollback and installing another 13-speed transmission or something. Okay, and here comes number 3. If nothing else, this will be a sight to behold for the end of this video. Didn't even put the truck on this far forward. Should maybe remedy that. I mean, this might not be a good idea after all, because this is going to go right onto the underlift, and the underlift is likely going to pull up the front of the truck, not allow me to steer anymore. That's really the big thing that I'm afraid of and why I'm testing this. You know what, I should maybe drive this one a bit more forward. Because I reckon the trailer is going to be pretty front heavy now, because, well, we have a bit of the rear truck behind the axles. We have some of it on top of the axles, but we have an entire other truck in front of the axles, and that's actually far in front, so this is going to have quite a bit of leverage. I should maybe also raise the thing instead of just folding it. I love how my head is always inside the wheel there. But yeah, I'm taking bets. Do you think this is going to go well, or is the entire thing going to lift up the front of the truck as soon as I lift the landing gear? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking will be happening here. I mean, we got a decent amount of weight in front of the rear axles here, so that is pushing down on it. But that's not going to outperform the entire truck on the rear there. That's I mean, part of the weight goes into the rear, part of it goes into the front. Is God, this is a really weird thing. I've done a lot of force calculations in my time and leverage stuff and that kind of thing. So this is right up my alley, and I don't trust this. Yep. This is bad. So this is exactly what you don't want to see, but it's absolutely logical with all the things that we have here. I don't know if I could meaningfully lower the amount of leverage this has on the tractor. So basically the difference between where the weight of this truck goes down, the distance between that and this axle right here, if I can shorten that distance, I would then be more likely to still have my front wheels on the ground. I could also theoretically do this right here and scrape everything across the floor, but I don't like it. There is another scenario here, and that should be considered. There is something that could fix the entire thing here, and okay, that's weird. So we lift the underlift again. We can also pull the hook in, and I think, yeah, this is likely the solution. Because we haven't really been utilizing all the tools in our toolbox right here. And there is one that can take the weight, hopefully. I mean, theoretically. And that should be the solution. And yeah, it's of course the Linky. So if we can hook this up. I don't know if I like how that's going, but yeah, now none of the weight should be on the truck anymore. I don't like the jumpiness in there. Okay, here we go. I might need to stiffen the suspension on this thing. I don't know what's it at right now, but this doesn't look healthy. But yeah, theoretically we have a working consist now. This thing can go places. Maybe it won't make it out of the quarry here with how heavy that entire thing is, but... Okay, doesn't really change much with the second thingy here. Yeah, this would definitely need a different transmission because we are not going up anymore. But okay. I see now what can be done here. We are also not braking. God. So yeah, I don't know if I really want to attempt this and if I do when, but it's something that can be attempted now. But yeah, last but not least, I just want to quickly check in on the Linky. What's the spring stiffness on that thing? Because for heavy duty stuff, heavier springs are definitely a benefit. Just not for driving capabilities. Parts suspension, I'm pretty sure I have it stiffened already. 300%, so there's still a bit heavier that it can go, but it still might go onto its knees there. But yeah. Okay, that's enough about that. Enough for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time. Likely not with what I just tried there, but yeah. Until then, whatever it may be, as always, thanks for watching. I hope you have a good one, and until then, bye bye.